What's up, everyone? It's Ed from barstarzz. I just want to give you guys an introduction to the series before it starts. So it's called Calisthenics Roundtable. The idea behind the series is we're going to group up experts in fitness from different fields and let them discuss topics that you guys submit. So we need your help for this series to continue. So we want you to comment down below on who should be the next episodes and what should we talk about. I plan on being in all the episodes, more of a moderator, since I share my opinion with you guys so often all throughout this channel. So it'd be different to hear different experts and see what they have to say. Anywhere from nutritionists to doctors, if possible. Try to suggest people in the realm of possibility. I'm based out of New York City, and throw out some names that's also kind of far out there, and we'll see if I can get them on. This episode includes calisthenics author Kavadlo, as well as DPT Jesse, and we go over topics as weighted calisthenics, best exercise for biceps, and numerous of other topics. We did a second part of the video, which aired first, which was live on YouTube, and it had a lot of engagement, but not a lot of views. So I'll try that one more time and see how that works out. But let me know what you guys think. Hopefully this helps answer a lot of your questions, as well as be able to see it from different perspectives of different people that are at the top of their craft. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Here's episode 1 to Calisthenics Roundtable. What's up, everyone? It's Ed from barstarzz, and today I'm joined with Kavadlo.
Hey.
And Dr. Jesse.
What's up?
Today we'll be discussing a multitude of different topics. We'll be starting off with weighted calisthenics. But before we start, let's introduce our guest. So Al, if you give us a brief description.
My name's Kavadlo. I'm a fitness trainer. I've written some books about calisthenics. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm all up on social media. I'm 100% body weight.
And a contributor to bodybuilding.com.
And contributor to bodybuilding.com, T-Nation, Train Magazine, all that good stuff.
Cool. And Jesse?
How you guys doing? Dr. Jesse here, Doctor of Physical Therapy, graduate from Stony Brook University. Here in the clinic that I work for, Integrated Spine and Sports in downtown Manhattan. And just here to contribute what I can.
And you've worked with people with spinal injuries? And
I've worked with people down from, foot pain to neck pains to back pains, shoulders, elbows, wrists, you name it, I treated it.
Perfect. And I hope you guys know who I am by now. So the first topic we'll be covering is weighted calisthenics. Our opinion on it. So this is one of the questions you guys left on the comment section. Don't really remember which video, but yeah. I guess want to start off, Al? We go down the line?
Well, my personal thoughts are, I like to keep it 100% pure body weight. I have no objection to people doing weighted calisthenics, but I feel like you can always just find a more challenging body weight variation. You don't necessarily need to add weights. People say to me a lot like, oh, I can do 100 push-ups. So I'm like, well, try doing one-arm push-ups. It's like people could do a lot of pull-ups. It's like, well, do some archer pull-ups. Try doing some one-arm pull-ups. Do muscle-ups. There's always harder progressions within the world of calisthenics. I just love the simplicity of not having to rely on any external weights or anything outside of your body and just a little bit of equipment like a bar.
And what do you feel like, let's say the rep range eventually gets so big? I know that's not really a problem in one-arm pull-ups, but maybe one-arm push-ups. Like you can see videos of people doing like 50.
I've never seen anyone with good form doing that many. I've never seen anyone do more than about 15 with clean form. So that's the other thing, is a lot of people add weights to exercise and they're not even doing good technique in the first place. So now you're adding weight to what's already poor form, and that's not going to help anybody.
And then they'll see me later on.
Right?
Like, oh, I hurt my shoulder. What were you doing? Oh, I was just putting on, an extra 100 pounds of the pull-ups, and you couldn't really get the foundational exercises before you even could do a pull-up without any additional weight.
It's like if you can't do 10 full extension chest to bar pull-ups, you got no business trying to add weight to a pull-up, in my opinion.
I agree.
I totally agree with that. So
most guys can't. They think they can. Oh, yeah, I can get 20 reps, and it's like this. It's like, whoa. Actually go all the way down, go all the way up, and let's see how many you could really do like that. Blows people's minds.
Yeah.
They're not seeing what they're really doing. What they're feeling inside their body and what an outside observer would see are not the same thing.
Right, kinesthetic awareness.
That's why people need trainers. They need an objective set of eyes on them.
Right. And if your goal is to max out weight on the pull-up, and I say, okay, I want to do a pull-up with additional 100 pounds, by all means, go for it. Whatever your goals are, cool. Just make sure your form is correct. Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Me personally, I practice a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but I do weighted calisthenics.
Sure.
So I mostly train at the park, so I just have a difficulty bringing the weight to the park.
It's all about your availability.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all about your
But
availability.
I do have a pull-up bar at home with 2 weighted plates. And 1 year, maybe 2 years ago, I was really into it. I wouldn't say I did it for a specific goal that helped me with calisthenics. I just kind of tried it and got addicted to it and really liked it. More recently, I haven't been training it, but I've still held on to a good muscle memory, so I could kind of do like an impressive weight on a given time. So, in my opinion, I think for sure you have to have it down packed body weight. Like you're just asking for the biggest struggle, and I think a lot of people comment very preemptively. I've seen like people's advice on how to get bigger. They were like, "Oh, once you can do 10 pull-ups, put on the weight vest or put on the weight, you're not gonna grow." And that's just not true, because I feel like if you get the necessary volume,
Sure.
you're gonna grow.
Yeah.
And if you eat to grow, you're gonna grow.
That's a
And there's
whole
a
other
bunch-
conversation.
Yeah.
Then there's a whole bunch of variations to do it without it.
Yeah.
You can emphasize on the eccentric portion of it. Then you can start adding more weight to one arm or things like that. So you can do pauses in the middle, or you can do 21s, 7, 7, 7. So a whole bunch of variations you can do. If the regular pull-up is too easy, then a million things you can do without adding weight. But if you have the availability, and you want to add weight, and you're strong enough to do it, by all means.
Definitely for me, because I don't practice the weight so much, I use harder variations of bodyweight exercises at the park or at the gym when I train there. And it still levels me up still pretty high, so I could still do a 90-pound pull-up for reps. So I think it shows that it's proof in the pudding that you could use the harder variation of bodyweight only exercises.
Strength is strength, right?
Exactly.
No matter how you built it, you could use it in different capacities.
And it transcends.
Yeah. But yeah, people are into weighted calisthenics. I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, Al said I shouldn't do weighted calisthenics anymore." Like, if that's what you're into, do it. It's just not my thing personally.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
Do you
that.
think you could hit every goal with just calisthenics? Or is
Maybe
there-
not every goal. I don't. I mean, if your goal is you want to deadlift 500 pounds, then you need to practice deadlifting.
Exactly.
It's all about exercise specificity, you know. As Al was mentioning, if your goal is to be able to do one thing, no matter what, like a clean or like a clean and jerk, then calisthenics isn't going to be the number one goal. You could probably supplement it with calisthenics. Find out, okay, I really need the shoulder stability, so let me do some overhead, shoulder stability with calisthenics. Sure, fine. But if your goal is for one particular thing to get that thing, you need to work with that thing.
Just to add to that, a solid foundation in calisthenics sets you up to then branch off and go in a lot of
100%.
different directions.
Oh, yeah.
So building that foundation is so crucial. And then, right, if you want to get into whatever specific realm you're interested in, do that thing.
Yeah, definitely. I've been getting into animal crawls recently.
That's body weight.
Yeah, exactly. Adding weight to that is not going to make me any better at animal crawls. So to get better at animal crawls, you just do animal crawls. Yeah. So that's the way I've been going at it.
Cool. I hope that helped answer you guys' questions on weighted calisthenics. And we're moving on to the next topic. The most dangerous calisthenics move.
Well, the most dangerous calisthenics move, I think it depends on the individual. What's
Yeah.
dangerous for one person might be perfectly safe for another. So I think the two main reasons why people get injured in calisthenics or in any other physical pursuit are, one, poor form, or two, trying to do too much too soon. So if someone sees a YouTube video of someone, "Oh, that's a cool move, he did a one-arm pull-up, I'm going to try that," and you can't even do like a good two-arm pull-up and you grab that one-arm pull-up, maybe it is going to be too much on your tendon. That doesn't mean that move's necessarily dangerous. It's just people get overly ambitious with wanting to try it.
I think that you summed it up perfect. I think every movement, you should approach it that you've mastered each progression leading up to it. So if your goal is to do a muscle-up, you should already have the clear pull-up down. You should have straight bar dip now. You should have broken down the movement into 5 different pieces and be able to do all 5 of those pieces before you put them together. And I think you could apply that to a lot of things in life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go and start, learning astrophysics, you need to learn how to, count 1 through 10. So if you want to progress upwards, and you don't have a proper foundations, like Al and I were talking about before the camera turned on. If you don't have the proper foundations to do something, you're going to get hurt or plateau or both. So there's no such thing as a bad exercise, just an exercise performed poorly.
I just want to add one more thing to that, because there is a lot of fear-mongering out there about, like, oh, exercise is dangerous and you can get hurt doing that. Working out is much less dangerous than not working out. You're much more likely to get hurt if you don't exercise than if you do.
Agree.
So I don't want people to think, oh, I shouldn't work out because I might hurt myself. Strong people are much less likely to injure themselves.
Yeah, and I tell that to a lot of my patients all the time too. When they're in pain and they sit around the couch and they hope that their pain will go away, you're okay. If you sit around the couch, that's worse for you than just going out and going for a walk or doing something. I always tell someone, oh, should I be resting at home all day? No. There's nothing. Sitting down all day affects all of your systems: cardiovascular, skeletal, muscular, pulmonary, renal, everything. So if you just sit around the couch not doing anything, that's the absolute worst thing for you. Get out, do something.
Anything is potentially dangerous. I have to remind you all the time. You could walk down the street and get hit by a car. Does that mean you shouldn't walk down the street? You could choke eating a salad. Does that mean you shouldn't eat salad? These are things that can happen, but you got to live your life and do your thing.
And people always use this anecdotal evidence where they'll be like, "Oh, but I know a guy who got injured doing a backflip." But you can meet people that have been in all situations have gotten hurt.
Right. I know someone who slipped on ice and broke their hip. Does that mean you shouldn't walk down the street if it's cold out?
Or how many people get shin splits from jogging?
Sure.
And it's just like such a basic exercise that's so popular, but no one has stopped jogging. Maybe you take smarter movements leading up to it.
That's another thing. People get it in their head like, oh, I'm going to run a marathon. And they've never run, and then they get hurt training for a marathon. Like, running's bad. It's like, no, running's not bad. You just tried to do too much too soon.
Yeah. I've heard that a lot. Running's bad for your knees. No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not bad for your knees.
I also get like a lot, especially the back lever tutorial. I actually got a recent comment saying this is just like a ticket to Snap City. And people just, like, you undersell your potential so much. You're capable of so much. Like, you could catch videos of people walking up and down stairs and handstand, and people deadlifting so much and moving cars, and it's like you're so worried about this little movement of you going behind your arms. And if you learn this the correct way, then there's absolutely no danger to it.
No, humans are supposed to have that extension.
Exactly.
In their shoulder,
Like, it's a fearful thing if you can't do it.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying if you can't do it, and it's a very dangerous movement if you don't have the proper strength for it. But if you spend time at the lesser progressions and really work on the mobility and the stability, then it's doable. I mean, you guys do it all the time. I haven't quite able to do it yet, but I see you guys do it all the time, and you guys aren't really hurt aside from you. But that was something totally different. So,
well, I think if you push the envelope in any sport, people get injured. Like Michael Jordan has been injured playing basketball. I'm sure Tiger Woods with golf. This is me not even knowing it for sure, but I'm almost positive. Like, if you train at the highest level, then you're dancing at that border of advanced and injury.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with competitive sports too, the goal is no longer fitness. The goal is winning at all costs.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are willing to push their bodies beyond what they know their body can handle because they gotta win the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. So no particular move is dangerous. I really here.
I don't think so.
It could only be
inherently.
It could only be approached dangeoly.
Right.
I mean, it's done improperly.
Is it dangerous to bench press 300 pounds? Not if you're strong enough to, but if you're not strong enough to, you can kill you. You get crushed under that bar.
All right, next one.
CrossFit gets a lot of slack for that as well.
Yes, they do.
A lot of slack for that, but there's nothing wrong.
CrossFit's done a lot more good than bad for the fitness community, I think.
100%. Yeah.
That's interesting.
No, it's true. A lot of people, step out of the couch and just go into CrossFit. Say, yeah, these guys look so cool doing it, and by all means, they look amazing doing it. But they just want to step out of the couch and just go for it, and that's how you get hurt. So you really need to work towards it. And I know lots of my physical therapy friends are big on CrossFit, and they've never gotten hurt with it. Lots of slack for the kipping pull-ups and all these things. Well, if you're going to do it properly and that's your goal, then go for it. You're not going to get hurt if you can do it.
I think a lot of the injuries from CrossFit come from having a competitive nature on an everyday workout. So, like, you're trying to have you're trying to
it's the same thing we were talking about a minute ago.
Yeah, like if you have 20 people and you're all trying to hit a certain number, it's like you want to win. Even if people tell you don't win, but in your head you're still trying to win. If you write down the best time, and the best time gets a prize on the wall, even if that's just a subconscious, like, your name's highlighted.
Right.
You're in your head, you're like, okay, I'm going to do as many as I can. And when you do as many as you can, or as fast as you can, form, I think always gets compromised.
Right. No, it's always a dangerous thing to tell somebody to do their workout as fast as possible.
Yeah.
My thing is the opposite. It's do it with attention to detail and quality, and however long it takes, that's how long it takes.
Yeah. I actually, when I work out with my friends, there's times where a chicken wing muscle up will come up, and everyone's strong enough to do a strict muscle up, but just because of the idea, okay, we set the goal to hit
fatigued.
10. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think you should come down. If you feel like you're gonna hit the one chicken wing, you should have came down, rest, and then just take a little longer to do it, because a chicken wing muscle up means you didn't do it, in my opinion. Does stretching help calisthenics training?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, next question.
Here's the thing. A lot of calisthenics moves require a requisite amount of mobility. And if you don't have that mobility, you can't do the move. Like an L sit, a lot of people, their hamstrings are too side, their legs start shaking and cramping when they try to put them out straight. Or a pistol squat, the same thing, you got to be able to put the leg out. The back lever, you have to have the mobility in your shoulders to safely put your hands behind your back. You mentioned a handstand before we start rolling, how people can't even pick their arms up over their head.
Yeah.
So all of these things require some mobility, and if you don't have it, you've got to put in the work to get it.
Right, and it all depends on why you have the mobility issue. Is it stretching that your muscles are short? Then okay, yeah, stretching helps. If it's because the joint doesn't function properly and the joint isn't moving, then stretching is not going to help, because the issue isn't a muscle. The issue is the joint.
How
so
would
you
you know
have
which
to
is the
affect the
difference?
joint. I'm sorry?
How would you know which is the difference?
Well, when you're going about it, gets a little difficult, but when you're going about it, if you kind of like feel that stretch and you really can't do it, then that's a problem. But when it came to you in the video we did before with your wrist, when we went, we hit something hard. And so we hit something hard because that's bone hitting the other bone. So that's not stretching. You can't stretch it out. You have to do like joint mobilizations and things like that. So that's where it really comes into play. Now, if you're going to stretch a muscle, it's the way you stretch is important too. You know, like a long-term static stretch drops muscle performance by, I believe it was about 30%, but I need to double check my numbers.
What's your opinion on that?
Well, I wouldn't recommend doing a tremendously long stretch session immediately prior to a strength workout, because like you said, it is going to affect your ability to generate force from your muscles. But if you do it after your strength workout or on a separate day entirely, I'm a big proponent of static stretching. I think there's a lot to be gained from it.
Definitely. Static stretching is incredibly important. It's nothing that's too aggressive, because then your nervous system will, kind of combat that and just start, oh, this is too tight, and then just kind of tense up. So you want to hold the stretch a very gentle, extended period of time after the workout. Before the workout, definitely do some mobility drills, but nothing that lasts very long. Something really short, stretches, 2-3 second amount of stretch, just kind of get to the motion, get the heart pumping and things like that.
How long should you hold a stretch? Let's say if you have to give a minimum and a maximum.
Well, if you're looking to kind of get some additional flexibility, the research shows that if you hold it for a little more than 20 to 30 seconds, it's like the top number. Holding it for longer gives you really like small increases, but nothing statistically significant. But is it bad to hold it for very long? No, it's really great, and it's actually really great mentally. And I find that if I hold a stretch for an extended period of time, 40, 50, a minute, I just kind of go into like a mentally really good place. But if you want to go by the numbers and the research, then 20, 30 seconds is a meaty portion of it. But that's just research, and research could be behind also. So a lot of people are different. Some people could,
and it gives you an average number based on.
It gives you an average number. Yeah. General population, we're in a bell curve. So all this research kind of finds the person in the middle. We don't know if you're an outlier, you require stretching for a longer period of time, or a somewhat shorter period of time. So might as well just hold a stretch for longer, especially if it's more like a Zen moment for you, as it is for me. It just feels great with a stretch, a nice calm stretch. After a workout, I mean, it's great. I love it.
You stretch after every workout?
Stretch after every one. Yeah, there's no reason why you can't. No reason.
You will?
I think the longer you can stretch for, the better in most cases, because most people's perception of time starts to speed up a lot when they're holding a different
That's true.
Set a timer on there.
30 seconds, and it's been like 9 seconds.
Yeah.
So just try to stay in them as long as you can. And sometimes the
Definitely.
longer you stay in it and you try to breathe deep, you can kind of relax, and at the beginning it's like, oh god, this is so unpleasant, and then it's like, okay, you know what, you can make peace with that feeling.
Exactly.
And that's your nervous system accepting that this is a safe position for your body to be in, and that's the goal of the stretch.
Bingo.
Is to retrain your nervous system to understand, hey, we can do this and it's okay.
Yeah. A lot of people think that stretching physically makes the muscles longer, but actually doesn't. What it's doing is impacting the brain, as Al was saying very well. The brain's like, oh, this is a safe motion for me to be in. It doesn't hurt. The body is fine. Let me just relax. And then the muscle's like, oh, okay. Ooh, and just kind of stretches and just dissolves a little bit. A lot of people think, oh, the muscle is actually physically getting longer. It's not. You're affecting the brain, and you affect the brain differently than you would try to affect the muscle.
I actually read an article about that. The stretching actually just increases your pain tolerance, as opposed to
a pain tolerance, or like a comfort, or like a safe awareness. Your body's always gonna look out for itself, and it wants to protect itself from injury. So if you feel that, and I see this a lot, that when you stand up and try to touch your toes, the person can't do it. But then when they're on their back and they bring their legs up, they have the required flexibility. Well, why is that? Well, in standing, your hamstrings are holding on so tightly to try to keep yourself stable. So your abdominals are not stable enough for that stretch when you're standing. But when you're on your back and someone stretches you out, your abdominals are off, and your hamstrings don't need to stabilize anything because you're on the floor, so you have more of the flexibility. So it's all about impacting the nervous system for most cases.
What's your time workout to?
I just want to say, I think the simplest explanation is it's the same as strength training. Your body adapts to the stimulation it's given.
Yeah.
So if you repeatedly expose your body to, you're going to be in this position, and then your body adapts. Okay, we can be in this position. And if you repeatedly expose yourself, okay, you're going to do chin-ups. Then your body learns, okay, we can do this. So whatever the goal is, practicing it is the way to get there.
Practice makes perfect.
What's your ratio of working out to stretching?
Stretching is working out. I don't see them as separate things. But I'll tell you, I've actually been doing a lot. I've been in and out of yoga for a long time. And I've recently been starting to do it a lot again. And what I love about going to yoga classes is the accountability. You're following along the teacher's instructions, and they keep you in those poses for a long time. And it goes back to what we said before about your brain starts to be like, oh my God, I want to get out of this thing. But when you're in that group setting, and you're like, well, I'm not going to be the jerk who's going to stop. Everyone else is still doing it. I'm going to still do it. So you just kind of stay in. And it gives me the discipline to hold the stretches for as long as I feel really takes to get the benefit. When I'm at home and I stretch, which I do every day, sometimes I'll do 5-10 minutes, and then I'm mentally distracted, and I'm just like, all right, I'm on to something else. So it's just so good to just be separate in a room and just like, this is what we're doing for 90 minutes. And there's no escape.
Yeah. How many times a week do you do that?
Try to go at least twice a week.
Would you recommend that to people?
Yeah.
Twice a week.
I mean, start with once, Some weeks I go once, some weeks I go 3 times, some weeks I go 0. I try to go as often as I reasonably can.
Me personally, I try to stretch throughout the day. So I compare it to like a cat. So I wake up in the morning, I do a short stretch, shoulder rehab session. Then I go work out. Afterwards, I do another stretch session. And I feel like that's what worked best for me, is not having an independent session. Well, I do
that too. I do throughout the day. If I'm sitting for too long, right now, I'll stand up and all right, let me do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I
feel like that's more like how it was meant to be. But I feel like I have seen a benefit when I do also accountability and having a class where it's just where I'm located is not so often to have yoga.
Yeah, it depends on your personality too. If you need that person,
I'm not telling everybody they got to do exactly what I do. I'm all about do your thing. I just tell people if people want to know what I do, hey, this is what I do. Then take it or leave it.
And stretching's important.
Well, part of what I like about stretching is, we were talking about this before, how there's certain moves that mobility is a big part of. And the handstand, if I want to get my handstand, something I've been really into now, I do a lot of back bridges and a lot of handstands, doing like the back bridge handstand, like the hollow back they call it. And that requires so much opening through the shoulders and the upper back. And, in our culture, we spend a lot of time sitting. And it's like every hour I spend sitting, I need to counter that by bridging and stretching it out the other way. So that's a big one for me, just to get that mobility to the point where I can do that move without having to warm up for 20 minutes first.
Right. Yeah.
And your ratio of stretching to exercise?
It's tough to come up with a concrete ratio. I say after your exercise, fine. And do you have to stretch every muscle at the end of every exercise? No. That you'll be there forever, and we live in New York City, so we're always on the go. Select if you have a certain goal. Like for me, it's thoracic mobility. So I do that religiously every day. And then I would take a couple of days a week where not exercising, it's my rest day. I'll do a full body mobility. Just the whole day, just go for it and just kind of target every joint and target every muscle and really spend time with it. So I don't know if I can come up with a ratio, but just at the end of the workout, either you can do a chunk of your stretches then, or spread it out throughout the day, which I think could be really beneficial as well, because it kind of gets you out of really poor habits of sitting down all day. If you put all your stretching in one, fine, you did it. But if you can kind of like at the end of every hour of sitting down, let's just like Al does, either do a back bridge, or if you're not there, just do hip flexibility. Just hold the stretch 20, 30 seconds, each leg, walk around, grab some water, sit back down and go.
Cool. Next one. Best calisthenics exercise for biceps. Start with Jesse.
Start with me.
You want me to start?
Start with you. I think this is much more your territory.
My personal favorite exercise when I want to focus on my biceps, which is not a usual thing. I usually think of the body as a whole and train it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I went through a body split, but not single, like a bro split, more like upper, lower. So I'll do, for example, upper Monday, lower Tuesday, upper, lower, and then a rest day. But a couple years ago, when I did like really focus on building bigger biceps, I always felt like knees to your chest and doing chin-ups really felt the contraction in my bicep, and I felt like I could tell the difference between doing that. And of course, regular chin-ups and pull-ups also engage the bicep, but me personally, having the knees up, I felt it even more. I don't know if the certain angle I was coming up engaged the bicep more, but I definitely felt it more.
I know that depends on what your goal is for the bicep. If you're looking for a big bicep, there's one way to do it. If you're looking for a strong bicep, there's another way to do it. If you're looking for a flexible bicep, there's one way to do it. So I think like if we can come up with one in each category, but saying what's the best exercise for a bicep, I would ask the person, well, what's your goal?
Well, the best calisthenics exercise for a bicep.
What would be your goal? Is your goal to have
to
like
get
a
big
really strong
biceps?
one? Yeah, if your goal is to be gigantic
that's
bicep
more
and not be
likely.
able to reach your shoulder like a friend of mine, then sure, you can do that one way. If you want to have like a really strong bicep, because like the bicep and bicep tendon needs to be strong in order to hold like a planche, like a straight arm planche, your bicep needs to be incredibly strong for that. You don't need big biceps for that. You need a strong bicep.
I'm assuming the question was a little bit shallow.
It was an aesthetics.
Yeah. So if it's like pure big bicep, I mean, there's you guys would know that better than me. I'm the PT. I don't care about big biceps. I care about strong ones.
Yeah, I mean, chin up is the obvious one, right? Because you're in a lot of bicep flexion when you do a chin up. Pull ups hit your biceps a lot too. But I mean, if you think of the angle you're at here in a pull up versus here in a chin up, you're flexing a lot more from your bicep at this angle than you are at that angle. So yeah, and the back lever, if you have the palms down, hits a lot of bicep, especially the tendon. And that's one whenever I hold those, I come down, I feel like I just did like 100 chin-ups.
I feel the same way.
But you have to already be strong to do that move. Otherwise, it goes back to what we were talking about before. If it's too much too soon, then you can mess something up.
I didn't know this one that I tried. I usually do a lot of gymnastic rings. So if you're, I don't know the name of it, but you just kind of pull back at an angle with the gymnastic rings, and you just kind of lean back and pulling and so on like that.
Like an Australian pull-up?
Yeah, similar.
Elbows high.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like a body weight bicep curl, pretty much.
Exactly. So I think that's straight up isolates the bicep almost exclusively. So doing pull-ups and chin-ups especially are really awesome for it as well. Even eccentric ones too. If you do like eccentric like one arm, and that will kill your bicep almost immediately. So yeah, I think those are really awesome.
All right, there goes the first episode of the Calisthenics Roundtable. Thank you guys for watching, and leave your questions down below of who should be here next time, what questions, and yeah, peace.
See you next time.